Starting a new bag project for my bike usually involves cardboard boxes. They are a great helper to check the available space and what the rough dimensions for a bag on a bike could be. Together with the dimensions of my bike rack and the height from the rack to the handlebars, I can think more concrete about the dimensions of the finished bag. From the beginning, I thought it might be best to have two options for the bags. One that takes up the whole available space between my handlebars, and another, a smaller version that covers a little over the rack's dimension. Instead of going straight into drafting and sewing a first prototype in fabric, I decided to make both boxes out of cardboard to see how I like them.
Here is my masterpiece of engineering, or better to say the cardboard box. I always start with a cardboard box so that I can see the whole dimensions, so what is the real dimensions on the bike, since it is then easier to see if I have enough room to shift my gears. I mean, braking is never an issue, but shifting gears is sometimes an issue, and yeah, to get a better understanding if that dimension is what I'm searching for or what I want. And in that case, I'm super happy that I did the cardboard box, because just from the point of having the measurements on paper, I thought I would go with this box. But for me, this box is definitely a little bit too big. I mean, also keep in mind that this box is just a box and I will design it a little differently for the real thing. But it gives you quite an idea on the dimension for your things. And as I said, yeah, I like that I have enough room for shifting, but I think for my purpose it is a little bit too big. Nevertheless, this box might come in handy later, because that dimension could work for general bikepacking. Let's have a look at this smaller box. So this one is significantly smaller. As you can see, it's almost like 3 fingers wide clearance between my between the shifts, and I think for my purpose that might actually be the perfect little box. I mean, it's still plenty of space for what I want. And also to take a look underneath, excuse the dirt, yeah, you can see I do have a little bit of room over here and to the sides, but it's not as big as the other one. The other one I definitely would have needed some extra padding, if not even a plastic base basically. And I think I can get away with just a lot of padding for the base, and then everything will be protected, I think. So this might be the dimension that I will go for. I have some of my notes here for the handlebar bag. I had to do it in my sketchbook because I didn't have the big one with me. So I will first draft the base. I think it's maybe best here to see. So the small base I will do first. I mean, it's also just rectangles. And then I will do the front and the back side. The front is one piece, but the back, I have to keep in mind that this one here has a seam, because I want to have these overlapping flappy thingy. And I want to basically attach this one to the back piece, so I have to keep that in mind. And I also have to check where my straps are and where I have to attach straps, but I think it was only here. And then I can use the back seam over here for attaching the straps, or not the straps,
The buckle.
Good morning to this weird angle and uncomfortable position, but it is Saturday and I have some time left before I have to go, and I want to make a start with the bike bag and especially with the base pattern, and getting an idea where I can secure the bag then onto the rack. To get an idea about the dimensions and also the space that I have in between these bars of the rack, I think I will use a cardboard box, trace it, and then check how I can adapt it on that pattern and make some straps. And I will see if it's easy or not to thread the strap then basically through this this contraption here. But yeah, that I want to check how I can do it. But I think that this is the most labor intense or the most difficult part, because once that is done, it's just a rectangle or rectangular shapes that I have to sew and draft. But I think this is the crucial point of having a good bike bag to have good securing points. So let's get started.
This is my base pattern on a little piece of cardboard for easier tracing and marking also when I do the real pattern. And here I have the cardboard where I roughly sketched out the spacing and the rack dimensions, but what I'm most interested in is this width. So keep in mind it's not accurate, but it's more like, okay, know how much space I have for some straps that are running here and then also here. But yeah, that I will do next. I will check now what kind of webbing and also Velcro I have on hand, so that I know how much space I have here and if the stuff that I have is too big or I have to order some stuff, or that I want to check out next. Yeah, so I think what I will do is make it actually 2 centimeters longer than the width of the base, so that I can have some loops in that sense, that it's easier to thread than either the Velcro or the strap through. 8 and 16. Then I guess I can also note down how much space I want to have here as room. I made these markings here that are dashed lines so that I know how much I have to stitch down. So I have to stitch down this part basically of the webbing, the in-between part here, and then on the other side as well, that I know how much stitching I have to be done, so that everything is secure and only these parts in the middle are basically loose for the strap. I guess that's more clear once I'm sewing it. I also need a similar marking maybe on the back for the other strap, since the rack is curved up, so I think I might need a marking like that on my back panel, on the lower back panel as well. To sew this.
With all my notes about the strap and webbing placement, I sewed the first prototype out of cotton fabric. This helped me to check if the attachment to the rack is good or annoying. So here we have the prototype. Let's fix that cover, or maybe let's pull it away for a bit. So you can see I have here are starting my straps that will secure my bike bag basically to the rack. Let's maybe try to get underneath a little bit here. So I have 2 of these loops on the underside so that I can secure it here. And let's go to the back. And on the back, basically the same. I have 1 more bar up here, and my strap is then coming from underneath, going through this loop. And here, which is right now pinned only with a little needle, here will be the attachment points then for my buckle. So that makes everything quite nice and secure when it comes to the rack. But I noticed one thing, and you may notice this. So here I have a regular roll top. I just also pinned it in place. I did not put some buckles in. So here I have the roll top that will have here a pocket that is accessible with a AquaGuard zipper. And here I want to have some net and some elastic to, if I have some stuff that is wet, especially on a bike tour, that I can hang it here. But yeah, I noticed that one thing was missing.
and that is the attachment of this flap to the side. So I think this is also just a little bit too big. I think I will shorten it by at least 3-4 centimeters. But yeah, I was not really sure how to secure this flappy thing, and what I came up with, let me show you.
So I thought that it might be quite useful. So I want to have this part to be more flexible. If I have something underneath that I want to secure, that I can basically secure this point also here. And I thought it might be useful to have a strap that is maybe that long and attaches from this back or side seam. And what I then could do, let's just pin it in place. Now it's pinned in place. So that I can either put it up here, so the female part will be up here and the male part will be part of the strap. Or if I want to have it lower, to remove the strap basically and have it up here.
I just received the box with all the goodies for the bag making. We have some really nice elastic here. So I ordered 2 colors since I was not sure which one I want to use, and I need both the other one for a different project. This one actually. But yeah, I have this very nice and pink one, and then just a pure black. And I think I will use the pink one and the black on my backpacking vest. Since you can see here that this pink is not really fitting to the coral color, but the black will be. So I think I will use the pink one for the bike bag. And that also leads me to a decision on what kind of color I want to use for my front panel piece that is basically visible. And I think I will go with the green one, because this green one and this pink, I really like the combination. So yeah, ordered this one. Of course, I also need these little stoppers so that I can tighten everything. So here we have the straps that I want to use to attach the bike on the handlebar. But yeah, these go together with the spacer so that I have enough space between the handlebar and the bike bag that I will use. Yeah, that is quite nice. I wanted to try these ones since it is more versatile, and also then use it for other projects instead of having your usual buckles, or I think for my other backpack, for my other bike bag, I actually use a Velcro. And I hope that these are a little bit more useful and then also interchangeable with other projects. Regular webbing, smaller webbing for the buckles, and my AquaGuard zipper together with 2 of these zippers. I think I will only use 1 zipper here. I just ordered the second one if I have a different project on my mind. And let me tell you, it's not fun to attach these ones into the zipper. But yeah, will do. Then I also ordered these, unfortunately it's baby pink. They didn't have more like these kind of pinks in stock. But yeah, it's your regular fold-over elastic that you would also use for underwear. But I want to use it for the nets that I will put inside, since I found that having nets inside as pockets are maybe a nice organizational detail. Then we have our buckles, and I thought, well, did I actually order all of them? No, I forgot the second pair. So these are the ones that will go under the rack, or not under the rack, but basically attaching the back to the rack. And these are the tinier ones that I want to use to attach the front flap on the on the back itself, and also the little thingies to secure the straps. So yeah, I forgot a little bit to order, so I have to order some stuff more. But what I find quite interesting is this PVC kind of material that I want to use for the base. That it gives just a little bit more stability. It is very thin, as you can see. I hope it is a good stabilizer together with the Evazode that I have to check. But yeah, I think that is quite useful, and I would like to definitely give it a try, since it is maybe also useful for other projects that I have in my mind.
One thing that was not included in my order was the fabric. For the bag, I will use my leftover X-Pack material from previous backpack projects. For the front and side panels, I use the coral color. The upper back and the overlapping piece are in cobalt green. And both base pieces, lower back and the inside of the overlaps are in black. Thanks to my previous testing with the webbing on the base, I was able to copy my marks quickly to the outer base and secure my webbing with double-sided tape before sewing it. Double-sided tape is really my favorite tool when it comes to making gear. Everything stays in place, especially in the areas where you cannot use the clips, and you don't want to use any pins since they leave your waterproof fabric with holes. As mentioned in my material overview, I choose to have bags in the inside of my bag to organize little floating pieces better. For this I used some stretchy mesh fabric I had as well from previous project and basted them to the corresponding pieces. With all my preparation of the pieces done, I finally started constructing the bag. First, I sewed the outer base with the webbing to my lower back panel piece. The female buckle parts were then attached to the upper edge of the lower back panel with some webbing. With these as fixed points, I checked the length for the straps with the help of my prototype. I cut the straps to length and basted them to the front-facing edge of my base. After that, I sewed the coral-colored front part to the same base edge. Since I tried to minimize the visible seams on the inside, I thought the burrito method from shirt making might come in handy for the base. I sewed the inner base to the back edge of the lower back and outer base and laid everything flat on the table, so the right sides are facing up. Then folding the front and back piece towards the outer base area, which leaves the inner base pattern piece exposed on the left side. This piece is then rolled over, covering the other pieces and attached to the front edge, showing you the left side of the fabric. It is quite fiddly to align your edges before sewing them and have everything out of the way, since the fabric is much stiffer in comparison to fashion fabric. After sewing and sealing all the seams, it was time to unwrap the burrito and have a seamless inside on the bottom part. This also forms a nice pocket for some padding. For the padding, I marked roughly the dimensions I want to reinforce on my plastic sheet and a bigger area on my Evazode. I wanted to have more room to all sides and made the pieces a bit smaller, since I was not sure how inflexible this area will become while attaching the side pieces. So better to leave more room for an easier handling under the sewing machine when stitching the side seams. I attached both materials with double-sided tape and inserted it into the pocket. On this point, the bag's front and back panels are almost done, but before sewing the lower and upper back pieces together, I had to design the overlap which attaches to the seam between both back pieces. The overlapping piece has an outer panel with zipper and some elastic, which you see here with the wrong side facing up, as well as the inner piece which holds the female buckle parts on an angle. Instead of drafting this piece beforehand, I thought it might be easiest to quickly draft it on the front pattern on the go. I checked how I wanted to angle the buckles by placing them on the fabric. Then I marked the lines, and from there drew the stitching line and a seam allowance. Then I simply traced the edge pattern to a piece of paper to cut out these pieces later. I noticed then that I could have also drafted it direct onto the black fabric for the inside instead, but never mind. After tracing the inside piece and the corner triangles, I attached the buckles to the edges and top stitched the seams. The only thing left before joining the two pieces was the loops for the elastic on the outer piece and the pocket. With all the details in place, The double-sided tape came in handy again to hold the pieces together before stitching along the edge and turning everything right sides out. With the overlap finished, I sewed the lower and upper back panel with the overlap in between together and sealed all the seams.
While the glue is drying on the other parts, we can work on the side panels. So on the side panels, they have the pockets for the inside. And let me show it maybe on the prototype. So one thing I have to do is measure approximately the distance from the bottom seam to where the roll top would basically come down. And I think I made my decision that I actually just want to go with the smaller 1 centimeter wide buckles. I think they work better than, let me get the big one. The big one, I think it's really oversized for the back. I think this might just work fine. So I want to measure roughly the distance that the webbing would be having here. And then we also need the side strap running from here to, somewhere this area where the front flap, the overlapping piece, will basically be attached. I mean, I also have to think about shortening this one, but let's do the side seam, the side piece first. So I have to measure roughly the distance and also where I want to attach it. So I think I will all of my webbings that I mentioned attach on the piece, on the side piece. So on this one, I think in the middle just goes the webbing up for this part. And I think this one might actually just go over here. So it is a little bit over the curve. The curve is around here. So I think I will go and attach it somewhere here. I will also check if I do it on a slight angle or if this web will just be parallel to the seam. But yeah, that is the next step that we have to figure out.
With the side panels finished, the last nerve-wracking step to finish up the bike bag was to attach the side panels to the rest of the bag. I found it the easiest to sew it up in 2 steps, first starting from the middle of the bottom part all the way up to the back opening. Then put some double-sided tape on the seam that was still open to hold it in place and start sewing from the other back opening. I stitched also again over the previous seam since I wanted to make sure that all my corners are catched in the seams. Let me tell you, what appeared in the video so easy and neat was a lot of stop and go, moving the fabrics back and forth and making sure that everything is lined up. And in the end, I noticed that I mixed up the side panels and sewed them on the wrong way, so I couldn't close the overlapping pattern pieces with the buckles. I had to rip everything apart and sew it again and made sure to apply an extra thick layer of seam sealant to close all the holes of the previous seam. The last step to sew was the roll top closure. For this, I folded the opening edge twice to have no exposed edges, and then put on the webbing. One webbing is attached on the inside, and the second is attached on the outside with some overlaps to hold the female buckle parts. To avoid losing any buckles when the bags are not closed, I sewed a little pleat into the ends of the webbing to secure everything. Then it was time to check out the finished bag and load it up with some garments to see how the bag actually looks. I noticed that the overlap missed the elastic cord and I fiddled that through the loops. With everything in place, I attached the bag to my rack and took it on its maiden voyage. I ended up only attaching the bag with the straps and webbing of the underside to my rack. This was so strong already that I didn't need to use the other straps that I bought. The fabric right now is still very stiff and closing the roll top feels a little weird, but I noticed that as well on the other backpack, and over the time the fabric became softer and the roll top closes now quite easily. I'm extremely happy that I sewed up this little bike bag and used the space I have on my rack. I have enough room in the back to bring my big airtight container for food and still have plenty of room for clothing and other things in the bag. Worry not, the cake and burrito supplies are secured. The mesh pockets will be handy for all the bits and pieces you don't want to have floating around in your bag. For example, your pump or patches, you don't want to search for them if you need them. And if you don't have anything to put there, they just lie flat and don't remove space from the main compartment. To give you an estimate on how much time I spent for making this bag, it was around 10 hours, from measuring, box making, first prototype and then the actual sewing. Here's to many adventures on the bike with a proper bag for all the snacks. I hope you enjoyed the process of my bag making and I will see you outside or in my next video. Take really good care. Bye bye.